As we know, continuous learning is critical in our quest for perfect agility and great leadership. But one of the sources of great learning is unbeknownst to many. And that's what I want to address this week on the Badass Agile podcast. I'm just kidding. Greetings, team. Welcome to the Badass Agile podcast. I'm your host, Chris Williams. Hello, crew. What's up? So great to see you. Man, I got a good one for you this week. This is about self-study. And by that, I mean the unexplored terrain of knowing yourself, learning from yourself, and consciously seeking to improve yourself. Before we dig into that, let's take a moment to remember why we're here. To create an elite tribe of leaders who truly serve their clients and communities by doing what matters and what works, relentlessly chasing value and excellence like a badass. There's so many resources out there about what you need to do to be agile, but we focus on who you need to become in order to lead teams. So let's hammer down those fundamentals to create a truly unique and powerful force in this industry. And if this helps you, remember, tell your friends. I can be found these days on Clubhouse. Just search for Badass Agile. And you should also check out the Badass Agile Listener Lounge on Facebook. All right, let's dig into it. I think we know that successful people at this point spend more time reading, studying, and investing in self-development and self-improvement than the average bear. So what are some great sources? Well, I think we've all had the same book recommendations. We're all members of the same audiobook clubs and book summarization services, podcasts, traditional books and magazines, videos, and so on. Not to mention the bevy of courses, both online and in person, and communities. But there's one area of true wisdom, knowledge, and development that's been around for centuries, that preceded all this technology, that preceded the printing press, and that's the study of self. There is ridiculous and massive value in simply taking the time to examine your own life. Whether you write this down with pen and paper, whether you write this down by punching keys on a computer, or by dictating into your smartphone or other recording device, or even through non-traditional means like this podcast or a new one that I have coming out very soon, by the way, which I'm excited to share with you. Taking the time to reflect and to store that information and then groom it and go back over it over time is a technique not unlike the Agile retrospective that we're so attached to. And yet, we do this for our teams, we do this for our clients, for our companies, for each other, but do we do it for ourselves? Unless you have somebody routinely shining a light on you, showing you your gaps and your strengths, giving you feedback that subtly encourages, but at the same time improves you, it's really difficult to get any insight into how we could be getting better. And all of these books and all of these courses and resources are great, but it's hard to know which ones will speak to you. It's hard to know which ones are true for you. And even if you do have a continuous learning and integrating practice, here's one thing to notice. You can't just read a book once and be better overnight. It takes a really long time for you to fully understand and properly integrate the things that we learn from all of these resources. This is why people continue to study classical texts, philosophy, whatever your spiritual, mental, or emotional inspirations happen to be. It's not uncommon to need to read them 5, 10 times or more before we really start to absorb the material. Not to mention, let's be honest, how many times do you read something and then immediately forget it? A lot of modern courses and books are aimed at volume and that 300 pages is the target, not the crispness and concision of the detail. So there's a lot of padding in there and it's hard to sift through it to figure out what's important. I think the only way that you can get even close to that is by having a companion self-study practice. That means asking yourself powerful questions every day. What the questions are is totally up to you. But they might be things like, who am I? Why am I here? What do I stand for? Who would I like to become? What am I good at? What do I suck at? How did I behave today in a way that I'm either proud of or I wish I had done better? Who do I admire? What would I want people to say about me when I'm not in the room and not listening? What would I want people to say about me after I'm gone? And another big question is, what did I learn today from all of those outside sources, whether it's my team, my friends, my family, or my favorite sources of inspiration, the wisdom of the world, the wisdom of the great writers who came before me, the wisdom of the great teachers. What can I pull away from that? And how can I integrate it? Now, writing all of this down is not enough. You got to go back and reread it. So my personal practice has now evolved to making some notes in the morning, then rereading those notes, those intentions, those ponderings, reflections on deep questions, my interpretation of the things that inspire me, the things that I hear, read, or see. And then I also check in with them at night. Did I learn something new? What happened because I applied the things I learned? Did I make the world better? Did I make myself better? And then I repeat it all again the next day. And then once a week, once a month, once a quarter, and at the end of the year, I skim back through them. I capture what's meaningful, what I want to make sure I act on. But most importantly, guys, you got to look for the patterns. See, because the patterns, the things that come up over and over, the things that you always say you want to improve on, and yet you never seem to get better on, now that's the universe screaming at you that you need to pay attention. There's an area here that is elusive for you, that's hard for you. Maybe it's scary for you. Maybe you don't want to face it. Maybe you have been dismissing it. Maybe you're lying to yourself and saying, this is something I don't need to pay attention to. This is something that applies to others, but not to me. That kind of self-exploration pulls back layers of ego and self-deceit to allow you to see yourself as you would appear to an outsider rather than how you appear to yourself when you spend all your time inside your own head. Both positive and negative, by the way. A lot of self-limiting beliefs happen and cause damage because we cling to them, we hang on to them. They bounce around in our minds like an echo chamber to the point where we believe them to be true, and then we fail to take action or take wrong action based on those beliefs, and we ignore the destructive impacts that they have because it's easier than facing them head on. Does that sound right? Is any of this ringing with you? Now, once again, the question I ask my listeners to ask themselves is, what does this have to do with Agile? Well, if you're looking to get better at stuff, whether that's leadership or whether you're just looking to be more effective, more efficient as a developer, tester, BA, it doesn't matter what your role is. Only by looking at yourself and how you perform can you honestly get better at the hard things that matter so much in life, asking for help, addressing your thoughts and emotions and your behavior, seeing how you show up, your ability to inspire other people, your ability to communicate well, your ability to influence, your ability to focus and avoid distractions, your ability to prioritize and do what matters. Here's another big one that I'm finding that's prevalent across all people. Maybe this is a 2021 thing, but your ability to feel like you belong, like you're entitled, like you're not an imposter. That one comes up over and over and over. Well, how would you like to break free of those things? How would you like to not have the limiting beliefs that slow you down, hold you back, and keep you from behaving in ways and getting outcomes that you don't want, that don't serve you? Now, here's the secret. Here's what helps me, is you have to be able to look at yourself with curiosity, with compassion, the way a little kid looks at a new toy or a brand new puppy, with fascination, with a desire to understand it so you can get closer to it, so you can have a better relationship with it, so that you're not governed by fear, so you can approach yourself with confidence, with certainty, and real courage. Listen, we're like 350 episodes in. At this point, we should be getting to the deeper stuff. We should be getting into mastery practices. So I really hope you'll adopt this one, because for me, it has made all of the difference. And this is some of the stuff that, in working with people in the Forge, or even the people that I meet on a daily basis who show up in my classrooms or on social media, this is the stuff that I find really helps people more than anything else. Let somebody else teach you your Scrum. Let somebody else teach you your SAFe. At this age and this stage, I feel like that's no longer my lot in life, but rather to bring you to a place where you can make all of this knowledge work for you. Because just sitting on all of those books and all of those courses and all of that training isn't going to make you better if you haven't learned how to apply it and make it real with the full force of your passion and vision, your certainty, and your courage. I think your teams need you to do that. And more importantly, I'll go so far as to say that the world needs more heroes right now. And if you remember, that's what I'm here for. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you next time. As always, you can reach out at badassagile.com. Find me on Twitter at badass_agile. And until next time, stay badass.